The beaches in Chicago were not segregated in 1919 by the city. But in the write up for the 1919 race riots, the city describes them as segregated by common consent. What that means is that there were rules that the culture had about what was the white beach and the black beach, even though the city of Chicago hadn't made those rules. And this group of young men had created this raft. It was about 9 by 14 foot, and they had it out in the lake, and they were jumping off of this raft into the deeper water. And it's kind of unclear exactly what happens and how they end up in front of the white only by common consent beach, but they end up stuck out there. Is this young man? His name's Eugene Williams. He's 17 years old. Just graduated high school, works at the grocery store, wearing a swimsuit, hanging out on the raft on the lake, and he can't get onto shore. The original accounts say that he was probably drowned because he couldn't come onto the beach because they were pelting him with rocks, and other accounts say that he was struck by one of these rocks. It's not that Eugene Williams was so unusual a case that it sparked the race riots of 1919. It's that it was so usual a case. There was a powder keg of racial tensions happening in Chicago. Everybody had just been through a pandemic. Everybody had just been through World War I, and all of these black people from down south had been coming into Chicago, and because they've been being consistently chased out of all of these small towns, there's these mobs of white people going around and kind of amoeba sucking up any solitary black people that they can find riding a bicycle or doing whatever they're doing. They're going and burning black homes, especially these multifamily homes. So about 1,000 black people find themselves at the end of the week homeless because their homes have been arsoned. But the thing that makes the 1919 race riot slightly different than a lot of the ones that had happened down south and in the years preceding is that right in 1919, all of these young men had just been through World War I. And as the white mobs are kind of coming up to buildings, they're getting shot at. And there's many accounts of young black men taking pot shots from the top of buildings at the white mobs. And the people that are being injured by these mobs end up at Provident Hospital, and Provident Hospital, the all black hospital, is then surrounded by people who are threatening to burn it down, although the police do stop that. And a few years later, the city does end up giving Luella Williams, who is Eugene Williams' mother, a check for $4,500 as part of essentially a wrongful death. There's no Social Security at this point, so the argument is that he was going to be providing for her in her old age, and he can't anymore because he was killed by a white mob at a common consent beach.